Hi everyone, my name is Ismael, IP Licensing BD Manager at Yodo1 Games, and welcome to IP and Brands Collaborations in Gaming 101. So this is for all of you who have thought or is thinking about bringing an IP or a brand to one of your games. I want you to use this presentation as a guide to better understand what steps you have to take at first and what are the trends that are going around IP and brands collaborations in gaming. First of all, let's start with the big question. Why IP and brand collaborations? So we've seen in the past years that releasing new titles it's getting more and more complicated. We don't see as many original IPs as we used to see before, and just because of that reason, we see that many games, especially the free-to-play games, are relying more on live ops. We want to bring new players through the live ops, but more importantly, we want to retain the players and bring the new exciting contests. So this brings us to just IP collaborations, right? Instead of always doing the same event, why not? You can bring an IP to your game and surprise your players. This is also something that is helping a lot, especially because the thin line between entertainment, the classic entertainment, and gaming is getting thinner and thinner. We've seen this year with the release of the Mario movie, but it's not the first time we see it, right? We've seen many popular TV shows like The Last of Us or Arcane or the new coming Fallout TV show as well, right? So this is something that licensors and studios are starting to see and using in their advantage. So let's have a look at the market and the trends in licensing, right? If we take the 200 top games per country, if we go to the US, half, not half, but almost half of those games, it's from an external IP. It's not an original IP. But if we go to Japan or China, who have been doing this for more years, it's from 60% from Japan to 70% in China, which is making stronger the point of how difficult it is to release new original IPs. But let's get into collaborations. And this is one of the last reports from Newzoo. So before looking at this graphic and saying, okay, this is not gonna get better, this is going worse, we need to take into consideration a few things. First of all, this is for PC and console. We don't have mobile in the equation. And of course, many of you, and we all know, we've seen tons of collaborations this year in mobile. Secondly, this from 2023 we only have the first half, and even though based on the numbers, if it's steady, it's not gonna get not even almost to the half compared to the past year. We're missing that the second half we have the release of Barbie movie and the Ninja Turtles, which they made a lot of collaborations, so we expect a little bit of improvement in that sense. And the third point is like in 2021 and 2022, with the upcoming metaverse and all this hype around many brands and many IPs just got into it and jump super quick, but those numbers weren't realistic either, right? We've seen an improvement compared previous years, but 2021 and 2022 were just a bit different in that sense. So let's look now at the most common type of IPs that are used in these collaborations. The first one is not a brainer, and it's been for years. It's game IPs. It's really easy to bring a gaming IP and another gaming IP, just two studios, no licensors. They all speak the same language. It's really straightforward, and you know the audience, and you're gonna match it, right? Because they're gamers already, right? You're not gonna bring new people from the IP or something like that. You're just bringing gamers into your game from other game and all the way around. But the second one and the third one is what is getting interesting. Second one, personally, I love it. It's anime, manga, and comics. And I will get into more detail now. And the third one, it's movie. So we see the third most powerful types of IPs are more than the half of all the collaborations that we've seen. But why anime is getting so popular? Let's see. This year we've seen gigantic collaboration, especially in PUBG and Fortnite as well with Dragon Ball Super that we weren't used to see so many in-game collaborations and especially in this type of games. And also to point out another good one and quite huge was the Free Fire with Demon Slayer. The anime has been becoming more and more popular in the West in the past years, and I can tell you this as a fan. It wasn't that popular 10 years ago. It's something that is getting more and more mainstream. The storytelling is amazing, the characters development, everything. Anime is great. But on top of that, why is so good for gaming? Well, Crunchyroll made a report when they did an analysis of their current user base, and they found out that 90% of the users are gaming. So if we have something similar here done with gaming collaborations, it's like the audience is gonna match because 90% of the audience are pure gamers. So this is something that is not a brainer, and we're gonna see more collaborations, especially because in anime we're seeing more and more getting into digital, and getting into digital means getting into gaming, and also the Japanese market it's opening more and more to the global. Other one, and it's really worth to talk about it briefly, it's movies and TV shows, and how these movies and TV shows use the hype and use gaming as a marketing tool. We've seen, for example, Istanbul Guys and Barbie for the release of the movie. We saw Match Masters and Ninja Turtles for the release of the movie. Same for Futurama. Same for the Spider-Verse. And of course, I have to bring one. Same for One Piece last year. And for, but it's not only for movies, it's also been for TV shows, as The Last Fortress did with The Voice, that they just released a spin-off and the new season is coming next year, right? So this is something that the licensors are using gaming as a distribution channel, a new channel to get to newer audiences, and also studios are using it to bring new content to the players and keep up on that new and out of the box life ops that make the players come back. So the key takeaways from this is like, as I say, anime is becoming mainstream. Expect many and many more collaborations in a global sense and not only in the Japanese market. Movies and TV shows are gonna still using gaming as a new marketing tool, and studios are gonna use movies and TV shows and new releases as another marketing tool for them and as a way to engage and attract new players. As I said before, 2021, 2022, the numbers weren't too real, but it doesn't mean that it slowed down in 2023 because of this is not working. All the way around, this is getting much better. So overall, IP and brands collaborations are here to stay, and it will be a new tool for studios, and it will stay for many, many more years. So now, if you're thinking about, okay, I want to bring an IP to my game, I want to start now, I'm super motivated, I love these insights. Before starting, is my game ready for IP licensing? You need to ask yourself questions. You need to see and study where your game is, what are your expectations, and what you need to do next. So first of all, where is my game now? Does my game have a solid player base? Is generating enough monthly revenue? Are my life ops becoming repetitive? And these are many of the questions that you need to ask to yourself, right? For example, if you don't have a solid player base or user base, they're not going to understand the value of bringing a new IP. They're just going to go for the IP. You just need to make sure your game is the main focus of the collaborations. You're bringing an IP to your game. So your game has to be the main character. Don't let the IP of the brand take over. Just make sure you have a community. Your life ops are getting a bit repetitive, right? You want to try something new, something out of the box. You're super motivated with bringing a new IP. You're making good monthly revenue where you can afford to do this investment, right? and you also understand what's the value of this IP will bring to your game. So please be honest to yourself. Many times we're not in a position where we say, okay, we want to do it, but we can't, right? You don't need to cheat on yourself. You don't need to lie to yourself. You just be honest. Don't run it out of the table. Just keep it on, but don't rush. Just start focusing on your roadmap. Set it as a long-term goal, right? For the legacy of your game. Like, okay, I want to do it in 2 years. Let's work on it. Let's do a good roadmap. Let's start developing new features, working on live ops. But please don't push it. This is something that you need to enjoy during the process, not something that you need to rush or you need to be stressed about. Of course, it's developing and of course, it involves cost, but you have to be honest to yourself. And if you're not ready for it, just think about what can you make your game get where you want to be, right? So after that, if you think that you're making good monthly revenue, you've thought about everything, you think you're actually ready, and you want to do it, make your numbers. First of all, you need to make sure how much you're going to spend. You need to prepare a budget, how many resources you can allocate to develop, and how much those resources are going to cost you, how much money you're going to spend on marketing campaigns, and lastly, how much you can spend on a license fee and what business model fits better your expectations. Now you probably ask me, license fee? And yeah, I'm gonna explain you now the most common business models. So based on my experience, the three most common business models that we've seen in the industry, it's a minimum guarantee plus royalty, meaning that you need to pay upfront a minimum guarantee based on the royalties that you expect. And once you recoup that money, you start paying royalties, meaning that let's say you forecast 400K in revenue coming from the IP. So you say, okay, the minimum guarantee is gonna be 200 or the half just to play sure, right? So once you cover the 200K from in-app purchases coming from the IP, then you start paying the royalties. That would be the most common of all the models. It's quite easy, quite straightforward, but involves royalties. The second one is license fee or flat fee. This is just a payment upfront, a license fee, a flat fee. You just talk with the licensor, negotiate, and you pay it. And the last one is only royalties. This means just sharing a revenue from the in-app purchases that are directly related with the IP. You need to think what works better for you, but at the same time, you need to think that it's not only up to you, it's also up to the licensor, because some of them, they prefer a different business model. So next question that you need to ask yourself, why do I want to bring an IP to my game? What I want to accomplish? What is my goal? You need to set to yourself the right expectations. So in case you don't get the results you want, you can get learnings and improve the next time. So what's your goal? You want to bring new players, you want to bring to engage existing players, or you want just to use it as a marketing tool. You will say, I want the three of them. Of course, everyone does. But why do I say that you need to be clear? Because some of the metrics are difficult to measure right after 1 month. You don't need to check only, okay, I made X money from 1 month of the collaboration. I expected to do more. This hasn't been successful, right? Because you cannot track all the users. You need to track also the retention, how long those users are going to stay in the game, and what's going to be the LTV after doing the collaboration. So please be mindful when it comes to set your goal. If you want to use it only as a marketing tool and say, okay, I'm gonna use the assets from the IP to our user acquisition campaigns, and I want to lower down or CPIs, perfect. But be realistic. and be mindful with what you expect from this collaboration. If you want to bring new players, awesome. Maybe you can target some IPs that are more focused on other markets that you're not getting so much attention or so much traction, and bringing a new IP unlock you that market. So make sure to make a strategy and just don't get frustrated. Think about it and set the right expectations to yourself and to this collaboration. Another really interesting point is picking the right IP for your game. It sounds logic, yes, but many times you love an IP, you really want it in your game, but it doesn't make any sense because the genre might be different, the audience might be different, and it's like if you're bringing to an apocalypse game a kids IP because you love them when you were a kid or something like that, and it's not gonna be a good fit. And also, it's highly likely that your proposal would get rejected by the licensor, right? So make sure you ask yourself more questions. Does the story fits with the story of the IP? Does the universe make sense to your universe? Does the gameplay make sense? Is a genre fit? Just there are many times where we see amazing collaborations. This is one of the examples with one of the collaborations we work with. And as you can see, it doesn't even just from the visuals, it doesn't even feel like it's a collaboration. It feels so natural that it was simply and it was super easy to work on this collaboration, and not only for the studio but also for the players to enjoy it and to understand. Second point, you need to be loyal to your audience. We completely understand that many times we say, okay, I want to bring a new IP because I want to bring new players, new people that are fans from the IP, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, that's all good, but what matters the most are your current players, and this is for your players. So you need to make sure they're on board with this collaboration. So please check, are your demographics aligned with the IP? You can always check from the IPs. They have a deck and you can check their demographics, their target audience and everything to make sure it aligns with your current audience. So do you think your players will enjoy this collaboration? Get the community feedback. If you build already a community, just put some hints. Don't let them know, but just put some hints. Listen to them. What do they do apart from gaming? What do they like to watch? What do they like to do? You can get many hints from the community and get to know better your audience. You need to be loyal to your audience. And third, you need to get your team excited. So this is an experience for the players, but also for your whole studio. You need to make sure your teams are passionate about doing these collaborations. They love and they know the IP and get them on board on the idea. Just gather the feedback, talk to them, understand what they want. If they're fans and they really love this idea, it's gonna be way easier for everyone because this will also show to the licensor that you really appreciate and understand the IP and you're gonna treat it well, which is gonna be a huge selling point for you. So make sure everyone is on board, excited, and if it doesn't work, just gather around and try to get some feedback and try to find something that aligns with your team, your audience, and your game. Find the balance. The next step, you need to sell your studio, you need to sell your game. Pitch your opportunity. This is something that probably many of you already have. You already have prepared a deck and the studio deck, right? With all the story about your company. Make sure you're at your milestone and highlights, key projects, and explain a little bit of your vision and your values. In case you don't have it, just prepare it. It's quite straightforward. It's for the licensor to get to know you and understand what you do and understand also the projects you work with and your vision. So prepare a studio deck if you don't have already one. Same goes for the game deck. You probably have already one, but make sure this time you do it in a way that shows the licensor the reads that your game may have to how many people you reach with your game, like for example how many daily active users you have, monthly active users, and of course the monthly revenue and downloads. But also you can put the key demographics, like top 3 countries, because maybe the licensor is interested in one of those countries and they want to expand, and they see your game as a huge opportunity. So double check the game deck and do it in a way that is more attractive to the licensor from a point of view where they want to read their IP to your game, right? And finally, you just need to prepare the proposal. It's time to convert all the work we talk about into a reality. Let's put together a proposal. So first of all, for the proposal, you need to gather the collaboration terms, meaning that you need to put when you're planning to release the collaboration, for how long the collaboration is going to last, how many events you're going to do in the collaboration. Maybe it's going to last 3 months, but you want to do 3 events, or is it going to be 3 months in one event? Make sure you explain it and you're clear about it. Then, of course, the commercials. We already talked about the different type of commercials. Just propose a number and a model that you think they're going to be comfortable with. And then continue with the territories where you want to license, the platforms, and the languages. After that, you need to make sure you gather all the characters and IP elements. What characters from the IPs you will use, which characters are going to be NPCs, which characters are going to be the ones that are going to be unlockable and you can play with them, what elements from the IP you need for the event, logos, icons, everything you need. Don't forget anything and think about it twice. This is something that you will probably add to the contract, and you will put all the information there and will double check, but make sure you prepare it in advance so then you don't miss anything. This is really important because are the items that you're gonna use during the collaboration and you don't want to miss anything. After that, you just need to do an integration overview, how the IP is going to be integrated in your game. You can explain a little bit of the story if you're going to create any story around. No need to get into many details, because after that you can start working on the full story, but just give them a brief idea. And if this idea you combine it with some visuals so the licensor can see it, it's even better. They're going to understand how it's going to work. They're going to understand how it's going to be integrated, and it will be easier for everyone to get approval of the proposal with this, which is what we want, right? And finally, explain a little bit how you will monetize the IP elements and characters so they understand also the reach of the royalties and what they can expect, right? On top of that, you can also prepare a forecast for the royalties to let them know how much money they can expect from this collaboration. Lastly, you need to prepare a marketing plan. How much money you're going to invest, the platform you're going to use, social media, number of creating, period of campaign. Like you need to show them how much reach is going to have this collaboration, not only for your current players, but to how many more people you're going to show them, right? This is something really important. You don't need to get into many details, but if you put key numbers that you're going to use, and maybe you can change it uh, in the future, like before signing and add more things, right? But something that they understand what's the value from this marketing plan and how they can combine it with their marketing plan, right? So that will be the last step. After that, you will have ready the proposal, you will have ready the decks, you've thought about everything, you're now ready to pitch. Now, when you gather everything, knock the door, send an email, have a call, talk with the licensor, and present the opportunity. So I hope you like it. Thank you for your time. If you have any more questions about how to do during the process, or if you need any help, feel free to visit our website or feel free to just connect with me on LinkedIn, drop a message. I'm happy to meet new people, to talk to you and get into more detail. So thank you everyone. Hope you enjoy it and bye. Have